I recently read Arundhati Roy's first memoir, Mother Mary Comes to Me, and I can say it was both an endearing and an empowering account of a daughter's bittersweet relationship with her mother. And having attended the book launch and witnessed the author in all her physical glory made reading this book an extremely personal experience. My first Arundhati Roy book was The God of Small Things, and it was a refreshing experience for me to read about the soft and dark sides of growing up in a tightly knit Syrian Christian community in Kerala, to read about casteism, classism, to tinker with the idea of morality, etc. A few years later, I read a few of her essays to understand her political conviction, and later in 2017 picked up her second novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. I found Ministry a bit difficult to get through and ended up shelving it, but ever since then I've closely followed her interviews and always considered her to be like this irreverent, fearless writer who never hesitated to speak truth to power. Okay, now back to the memoir. Mother Mary Comes to Me is an intimate account of Arundhati Roy's life as the daughter of Mary Roy, an educator and activist who's renowned for challenging the Travancore Christian Succession Act of 1916 in the Supreme Court, which she won and gained equal inheritance of her ancestral property. Arundhati Roy details out her childhood and adolescence with such brutal honesty that she neither hatchets nor pedestalizes her mother, who shaped her worldview and overall outlook on life. As a mother, Mary Roy was violent, physically, emotionally, verbally abusive, and almost vitriolic to the point that Arundhati Roy and her brother LKC Roy learned to live in the shadows, not responding to anything, trying to live unnoticed at a much earlier age. In fact, it is this behavior that led our author to leave home at the age of 16. But she also clarifies, I left my mother not because I didn't love her, but in order to be able to continue to love her. Mary Roy was not or did not want to be a good mother, but she was undeniably a loving and fierce educator, activist, and feminist who changed the landscape of Kerala's education system. She started a school from the empty halls of a local Rotary club and, with sheer determination and ambition, transformed it into one of Kerala's most prestigious and reputed institutions. And all of this without a husband or without any backing. Just her and her wild, raw, savage energy. The relationship between the author and her mother is quite complex, but then which relationship isn't? Their relationship dynamics reminded me of how each of us as human beings is flawed and how we live in a time where it's becoming increasingly difficult to accept or admit it because it's either perfection or the risk of being cancelled. And to me, this is exactly why Arundhati Roy's honesty and empathy shines through. Mother Mary Comes to Me also talks about Arundhati Roy's relationship with her estranged father, Michael Roy, or Mickey as he's referred to throughout the book, and how her mother had to leave the tea estates of Assam with two kids and no money. Just an iron-like mind and a spine of steel. For fans of the author, who, as we all know, is quite private about her personal life, this book opens up tiny lanes into her past. From her childhood, briefly in Ooty, then in Imanam in Kerala, to her days at the School of Architecture in Delhi, her marriage, her political awakening, her involvement in the Narmada Bachao Andolan movement, her walk with the Naxalite communist guerrillas within the forests of Dantewada and Chhattisgarh. This memoir offers us a deeper look into everything that made Arundhati Roy who she is. Overall, Mother Mary Comes to Me was a wonderful read. Arundhati Roy's literary brilliance, her honesty, her courage, everything shines through. So, yeah, if you read the book, let me know what you thought about it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.